Okay, lots of football coming up on 93.7 The Fan. Saturday, we begin at 4:35 with the Kansas City New England matchup, and then at 8:15 it'll be Green Bay and Arizona. But let's talk the Steelers. Ben is questionable. We know AB is out. So how do they prepare without Antonio Brown, who last time out against Denver had 189 yards receiving, while Ben threw for 380 yards and threw the ball 55 times. And with the ailing shoulder, we know if he goes, he won't be doing that.
We know the Steelers have good receivers. Wheaton, Bryant, Hayward to a lesser degree, Hayward Bay. The fact of the matter is, though, somebody has got to rise up and become the go-to man for Ben for as long as he's in there, or if there's another quarterback that has to play on Sunday. You don't take Brown's production and just say, someone's automatically going to replace it. He's the best receiver in the AFC, maybe the best receiver in the NFL. I think what they've got to try to do is just not get away from a game plan, but they need Wheaton and probably Bryant even more so to just catch the balls that are there and make plays once they catch them.
What about Emmanuel Sanders, the ex-Steeler? Your thoughts on him, and now, of course, with Denver?
I never thought he was going to be the player that he's developed into in Denver. A lot of people thought Peyton Manning made him. I'm not certain about that. He seems to be a different player, though, since he went to Denver. He works a little bit harder. He's emerged as their number one guy. Here he was a part of the Young Money crew with Wallace and with Brown. But I always thought he was going to be a good receiver. I didn't think he was going to be the big play, game-breaking type receiver that he's developed into in Denver.
All right, now let's move on. By the way, we'll have details on the game all weekend in your sports with he, of course, today, and then throughout the weekend on The Fan. Then I'll be here on News Radio 1020 KDK Saturday and Sunday morning, and then we have the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show with Greg Deolis and Bob Dvorak at noon. Let's talk some Kansas City, and what an amazing first team ever, folks, to do what they did. I mean, they just looked pitiful to begin the season, 1-5, and then they just reel off. Now I think it's like 11 straight. They're in the postseason, getting ready to take on New England. First time Belichick and Reed have gotten together since that Super Bowl matchup between New England and the Eagles. Kansas City has been spectacular, and I know they finished 2-4 New England, but they're 14-3 at home during postseason play. They're a hard team to beat. How do you see this game unfolding?
Earlier in the week, I gave Kansas City a good chance of pulling off the upset, but now everyone's like kind of jumping on their bandwagon a little bit, so I don't think they're going to surprise New England. Patriots always are tough to beat, as you said, at Foxborough. The thing I think that's going to hurt the Chiefs is that Jeremy Maclin, their best receiver, probably won't play. I don't think he is playing. And Justin Houston, who is their best pass rusher, just gave him $100 million contract. He's the type of guy that can make life miserable for Brady. He's questionable because of an injury. You can't take an underdog team and just start taking players away from them. They have to play their best game, and they need as many players as they can, that they have to perform at a top level. I don't think Alex Smith is the type of quarterback that's going to outplay Tom Brady. So,
no.
The Chiefs' defense, if they're going to pull the upset, that's where it's got to be.
Gronkowski, can anybody stop Gronkowski?
Only himself,
yes.
I think.
Yes.
He's been bothered by a knee in addition to some of his other issues, but no, he's the best tight end I've ever seen. I mean, he's just a mismatch, nightmare for defensive coordinators because of his size and speed.
Then you take 93.7 The Fan with you throughout the day, because it doesn't end there. 8:15, you've got Green Bay and Arizona, so it's Carson Palmer against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers always tough to beat, but according to the experts, offense, defense, special teams, and you throw in Carson Palmer and Bruce Arians, a lot of folks like Arizona.
I think of the four games, Rob, I think this one might have the potential to be the blowout game. I think Arizona could win this game handily. Wow. And I'm a Packers fan in a way because I like McCarthy and I've always liked Rodgers. But they're a beat-up team as well. They're pretty fortunate that they're even here. They didn't play their best game last week against Washington. I just think Arizona, they come off, they got licked late in the season by Seattle. And I think that was kind of an embarrassing game and an eye-opener for them. That's a darn good team in Arizona. I think they're going to win handily.
All right, listen, I have to finish on Pitt basketball. They had a very tough outing against Louisville, a real tough night, only 28% from the floor, 41 points in 40 minutes. It's just a bad performance all the way around. They are going to hopefully rebound at the Pete coming up at 2 o'clock tomorrow. That, too, to be heard on 93.7 The Fan, and they'll be taking on Boston College. What's up with Jamie Dixon's Panthers?
Until last night, everyone loved him, averaging 85.6 points per game, among the top scoring teams, which is so anti-Jamie to be winning games with offense. I think they were probably a victim their success came from playing overmatched opponents. They really didn't have a whole lot of tough opponents going in. They played a really good defensive team last night. I think they'll bounce back. They should beat BC without much of a problem. But if you're expecting Pitt to be scoring 80 to 90 points per game as they get into the heart of the ACC schedule, that's not going to happen.
I think the big question, Artis and Young and all the players and Jamie Dixon and Rick Pitino's a great coach. He's a legend, and I think everybody expected them to have a tougher time. And they also realized that the light end of the schedule obviously is how you start. But for them not being able to really hit as many shots as we've seen them play many times early this season, that I think was the biggest shocker. So you have to start thinking, is this a barometer as they move forward into the tougher schedule? But I do believe Jamie Dixon's a good enough coach to kind of get a handle on it. And if you look at the big picture, this actually might be something good that this happened this early.
Oh, Jamie's going to use that as a learning tool for them. I think if there's one thing that they've got to be happy about is that they get to play right again, only after a one-day break. Jamie's probably not ecstatic about that, though, because I'm sure he'd like to grill it in their minds for a week, the way they played at Louisville. They're going to have to toughen up a little bit, but they're a good team, as you said. I mean, Michael Young's having a fabulous year. Artis is playing really well. Nobody had a good game on Thursday.
And Jamie Dixon is a great coach. Don't forget, here's how it goes. 2 o'clock from the Peterson Event Center. And, of course, it's Pitt basketball we're talking about. That'll be on 93.7 The Fan. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you got a doubleheader courtesy of Westwood 1. Some big-time football coming up, NFL style, 93.7 The Fan. Kansas City, New England. They're in the early game at 4:35. And then at 8:15, also on The Fan, Westwood 1 has Green Bay and Arizona. So enjoy it and have a great Steelers weekend, everybody.